Today, Islam is the most misunderstood religion. It is not only despised, but there have been wrong nomenclature given to Islam from time to time. But there is one lone voice in the whole world which has tried to put things in right perspective and says, do not judge Islam in the light of what Muslims do, but judge Muslims in the light of Islam. Yes, you have guessed it right. It is none other than the well-known Islamic spiritual scholar Maulana Wahiduddin Khan. Maulana Wahiduddin Khan is the president of Islamic Center, New Delhi, and also the founder of Center for Peace and Spirituality. Welcome, Maulana Wahiduddin Khan. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar abduhu wa rasuluh. Maulana, this is the kalma of Islam. Does a person become Muslim only after reciting this kalma?
Yes, recitation is necessary for anyone who wants to embrace Islam. But the question is, what is recitation? The very word ashhadu tells us the meaning of recitation. Ashhadu means I bear witness. I bear witness. Now, what is witness? Witness means one who tells you something on the basis of direct knowledge. So here recitation does not mean simply lip service or to utter some word. It means that the person has direct knowledge of that truth about which he is giving his witness. So the recitation begins not from utterances of some words. It begins from seeking. First of all, one tries to know what is the truth. So the starting point is seeking spirit. Then when there is seeking spirit, it is but natural that he will try to know what is the truth. He will study, he will observe, he will exchange. So after a long process of gaining knowledge, he will discover the truth with the capital T. So after this realization of this discovery, he wants to declare that I have found, I have realized, I have discovered. So he says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I bear witness that there is no God but one God. So the word ashhadu is enough to tell the whole story. So I can say that here recitation means discovery. Here recitation means declaration after discovery, after realization. That is called marifa, al-marifa. So Iman begins from marifa, and marifa means realization. So ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh is not simply a lip service. It is a declaration that I have found the truth, I have realized the truth, I have discovered the truth. So it is true that recitation is necessary. But recitation, what is the meaning of recitation? You have to understand the thing in its deeper perspective.
Maulana, Kashmiri Mufti issued a fatwa that Indian Army cannot build a mosque or repair the building because it is haram in Islam. Is this as per Islamic teachings?
No, not at all. this fatwa is wrong, completely wrong. I will tell you that the Prophet of Islam has set all kinds of examples. There is a verse in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. There is a good example for you in the life of the Prophet of Islam. So, the life of the Prophet of Islam was an eventful life. So, you can find all kinds of examples in his life. In this context, I would like to say that when the Prophet of Islam proclaimed his prophethood, it was 610 AD. At that time, the Kaaba was built by Mushrik people and not by Muslims. You know, the Kaaba was built by Prophet Abraham in the desert of Makkah. At that time, there was nothing but desert. So he built a mosque. Kaaba is a mosque for Tawheed, that is, to worship one God. So Kaaba was, a mosque of Kaaba was built as a center of Tawheed, as a center of oneness of God. So this was the real purpose of building a new mosque at Makkah. Then what happened? At that time, there was no restriction. Everyone was free to visit Kaaba. No restriction at all. Then what happened? People used to visit Kaaba. Then some people who were idol worshippers, they came over there and they put some idols because they were used to idol worship. So they wanted to put in Kaaba their idol. So one after the other, these idol worshippers put idols. So the number became up to 360. So when at the advent of Prophet of Islam, there were 360 idols in the Kaaba. But you know, Prophet lived up to 13 years in Makkah, and he never tried to demolish, never tried to destroy all those idols. And you know, this structure was at that time was not the same structure which was built by Hazrat Ibrahim. This was built by Mushrik people. Now, you know, at present, Kaaba is a square building. A square building. This was not the architecture of Hazrat Ibrahim. At that time, it was not a square building. Then what happened? Due to some reason, that structure was destroyed for some reason. So Mushrik people, at that time there were only Mushrik people. So they wanted to rebuild the Kaaba. So they rebuilt it, but they reduced the size. They rebuilt it on a square shape, and that was abuse. That was a kind of abuse in the structure. But Prophet never tried to rebuild Kaaba again. He simply tolerated. So he used to visit Kaaba every day. He used to perform his salat, his namaz, but he never tried to destroy idols. He never tried to rebuild Kaaba. Then what happened? After 23 years, he was able to occupy Makkah, and now he was able to establish a state in Arabia. So in the final days, he was head of the Arabian state. But again, he never tried to destroy that kaaba that was built by Mushrik people. It is a fact. You can find it in the history. So if kaaba, if it was lawful to tolerate kaaba, even though it was built by Mushrik people, so how you can say that army, if army tries to to repair a mosque, it is haram? No, it is not haram. And Prophet was aware that if he if he if he don't change the structure, mushrik structure, then after him no one will be able to change that structure. So if Kaaba was built by mushrik and is was tolerable for Prophet, so how you can say? So, so the building of a mosque or repair of a mosque is not forbidden for non-Muslims. It is quite. And then there is a hadith that the whole earth is for me is mosque. جُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ كُلُّهَا مَسَاجِد. So the whole earth is masjid. And every part of the earth is touched by those non-Muslims everywhere. So how you can pray that is touched every day by non-Muslims? So all these things are only extremism and ghulu is haram in Islam. So I can say that if army repairs a mosque, it is quite lawful and there is no wrong at all.
Maulana, does that mean that we need to revise Islam today?
No. There is no need of revision in Islam. What is needed is to revise the Muslim practices, not the Islam. Muslims have adopted a new version of Islam. So you have to revise this Muslim practice. Islam is applicable today. If you adopt Islam in that sense, in which Prophet of Islam was accepted, then there is no need to revise. The Prophet Islam was a natural religion. It was based on nature. There was no extremism. There was no ghulu. There was no fundamentalism. So Prophet Islam is a simple religion, a natural religion. All those extremism and fundamentalism is innovation by Muslims. So you have to abolish all these innovations. There is no need of revision in Islam.
Maulana, today Quran is available in a book form, but we all know that the verses were revealed over a period of time. My question to you is, how was Quran compiled in the book form?
At that time, before the advent of printing press, people were using their memory. So their memory was very, very strong everywhere in the world. So was the case of Arabs. Arabs' memory was very, very strong at that time. So when some part of the Quran was not revealed, the whole Quran was not revealed at a time, but it was revealed during 23 years. So when a part of the Quran was revealed, people take it by memory. So in the final days, there were thousand people who have memorized Quran. Then at the same time, they used to write Quran in different pieces. So during the Prophet's time, Quran was preserved by two methods: by memorization, by the way of memorization, and then by the way of writing on different pieces. So what happened after the Prophet? In, in the last days, Prophet compiled the Quran and he recited the Quran from A to Z. So people became aware that what is the Quran according to the compilation by Prophet. Then what happened? During the first caliph, that is Abu Bakr Siddiq, Sahaba wanted to compile Quran in a single volume. So they gathered all those fragments and pieces. So they adopted a double checking system. They checked the writing by their memory and memory by the writing. So by using this double checking system, they wrote the whole Quran on on on, on paper. At that time, there was a kind of paper that is called perhaps papyrus. It was made by some plants. So they compiled the whole Quran and they wrote the whole Quran in that um, on that papers. So it was said Rabah. Rabah means square. So this first copy of the Quran was square. So this first copy was compiled during the first caliph. Then during the third caliph, this first copy was again recopied. So there were several hundred copies. So during the whole history, people were memorizing the Quran, and at the same time they were writing the Quran on the papers. And now now you are living in the age of printing. So in this age, Muslims established institutions, and they avail the printing method, and now there are billion and billion copies available in every part of the world. Printed, all these are printed copies. So this is the history of Quran in short.
Rana, when Islam is against idol worship, why is it that Muslims bow down to Kaaba in their prayer?
No, it is wrong to say that Muslims bow down before Kaaba. No, not at all. Muslims only pray their salat everywhere in the world by directing their face towards Kaaba. The Kaaba gives us a direction. We are not doing our ruku or sujood before Kaaba, but we pray our namaz, we perform our prayer only by directing the Kaaba. So Kaaba is Qibla. Kaaba is Qibla. Qibla means direction. Qibla gives us only direction. And we do our ruku' sujood before God. The whole practice of namaz is before God. So all the practices in salat, that is qiyam and ruku' and sujood, is before God and not before Kaaba. Kaaba gives us only direction.
But why are non-Muslims not allowed in the holy city of Makkah and Medina?
The reason is not, it is not any, it is not a bias in any sense of the word. It is as a law of necessity, because when Prophet Abraham built Kaaba, there was no restriction at all. So what happened? Those people who were worshipping idols, they were allowed to visit Kaaba. So they came with idols and they placed that idols in Kaaba. So the number of those idols became 360. So when the Prophet of Islam came, at that time, there were 360 idols in Kaaba. So it was a very great problem, because Kaaba was built as a center of Tawheed, and now it was like a center of shirk and idol worshipping. So then, at the time of Prophet, not at the time Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Ibrahim never restricted, but Prophet Muhammad was compelled to to restrict entry only for those people who are not idol worshipper. So this was result of that kind of sad experience. This history gave us justification to for such restrictions. Otherwise, before Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there was no restriction. But when the experience showed that these people who are worshipper of idols may create some problems. So due to this problem, Prophet imposed restrictions. So it is a matter of necessity rather than a matter of bias.
But Maulana, why is pork and alcohol forbidden in Islam?
You know, pork is a very different kind of animal. You cannot separate blood from its meat, its flesh. When you slaughter a pork, it is not possible to release all its blood. So the flesh of pork or meat of the flesh is not pure flesh. It is flesh with blood, and blood is food of animals. Blood is not food of man. So due to this reason, pork is a source of a bad habit, that is insensitivity. Animal traits, when its meat is mixed with blood, so everyone who eats its blood inculcate animal habits in his personality. So due to this reason, it was declared unlawful. And wine, wine is alcohol is source of insensitivity. Everyone who takes alcohol becomes insensitive. So insensitivity is not tolerable in Islam. Everyone who is insensitive, he becomes insensitive about those spiritual values, ethical values. So due to this negative result, pork on alcohol was declared unlawful in Islam.
Maulana, whenever we talk about Muslim women, it is often said that the status of Muslim women is lower than that of a Muslim man. And there are various verses which are cited from Quran. For example, in Quran it is mentioned that when you have to take the witness, 2 witnesses of a woman is equivalent to 1 witness of a man. Why is this so?
It is not due to discrimination, but it is based on biological law. You know, science has established, after a long study about the men and women, the science of biology, science of psychology has established that there is difference between the mind of man and mind of woman. It is a well-established fact. So, what is the difference? Man's mind is a man's mind is a single-sided mind, and woman's mind is a diverse-sided mind. And man always observes things with concentration, but woman cannot. Woman cannot see things in a concentrated way. Her mind is a diverse-sided mind. So due to this difference, it is but natural that when an event was observed by man, he can give you correct reporting because he observed it with concentration. But when woman is observing that event, it is but natural that she will fail to give the correct position because her mind was diversified. So due to this biological reason, it was Quran says due to this biological difference, Quran says that one man, two women are equal one man. If one man is witnessing the event, he will give you information in totality. But if woman is reporting the same event, you need 2 women because if one woman missed some part of the event, the other woman will fulfill that gap. So it is based on biological differences. It's not a question of inequality or question of discrimination. It's completely based on biological differences between the two sexes.
But Maulana, again in terms of inheritance of wealth, it is said that when you divide it between the woman and a man, a woman should have half that share of a man. Why is it so?
No, a woman is far more in an advantageous position because woman receives share from his parents, and again he receives shares from her husband, and again she is not when she is married with a man and they are living in a house, so man is responsible for all kind of expenses. Woman is not. So you see that woman's share is threefold: one from her parents, one from her husband, and one his her own income. So women are in an advantageous position as compared to men. Man finds share only from his his uh, his parents, from his father. He has no right to share from from his wife. Wife's income is own income. So man is not, women are not in loss in this case.
Maulana, all religions teach its followers to do good deeds. Then why should a person follow only Islam? Can he not follow any religion?
It's not question of only Islam. It's question of authentic religion. You know, according to the Islamic teachings, all religions are equal originally. Originally, every religion was one and the same. But what happened? In the later days, there were some perversion, some alteration. So other religions lost their purity. So now only Islam is preserved in its original form. No religion other than Islam is preserved in its original form. So Islam is the source of authentic guidance. So Islam is only authentic religion. So everyone who wants to know what was the divine guidance, so he have no choice other than to study Quran, because Quran is the only book, only divine book, only revealed book that is preserved in its original form. So this question is not superior. This question is only question of historical authenticity. As it is a fact that Islamic text is preserved in its original form. So I can say that Quran is the only authentic book. Authentic book. Other books are not authentic. So this is the reason. The reason is based on authenticity rather than anything else.
Maulana, it is said that Islam is the best religion. If that is the case, then why do Muslims today are involved in activities like drugs, militancy, cheating, bribery? What is the reason behind it?
You know, Islam means Islam is a set of teachings. The source of Islam is the Quran. So Quran is a text, and text cannot be changed. But Muslims are a community, and in community every time there are changes. For example, Prophet of Islam trained some Muslims, those who were contemporary. He trained contemporary Muslims, but after some year, after 50 years or so, all those people were died. Now there was new generation. So community is subject of degeneration, because there is every time there are some are born and some dies. Due to this life and death, due to this law of life and death, community is always subject to degeneration. But text is not. There is no degeneration in text. So, Islam as a divine text is preserved up to this date. But Muslims are victim of degeneration. Due to this reason, there is a law of tajdeed. Prophet Islam has said that after every 100 years, you have to revive Muslims. You have to do tajdeed. Tajdeed means revival. So after every 100 means after some generations, it needs to be revived. So Muslims need revival due to this degeneration. So there is difference between Islamic scripture and Islamic community. Community is subject of degeneration, but Islamic text is not subject of degeneration.
Maulana, Muslims believed in the theory of abrogation. That is, certain verses which were revealed earlier were abrogated by the verses which were revealed later. Does this imply that God made a mistake and then later corrected it?
Abrogation means naskh, N-A-S-K-H, naskh. But abrogation does not mean cancellation. There is a difference between abrogation and cancellation. So no verse of the Quran was cancelled, not at all. It was a temporary, you can say that it was a temporary postponement. Because, there are two parts of Islamic religion. One that is based on belief. So belief system is eternal. Also, moral values are eternal. For example, honesty is eternal teaching. Justice is eternal teaching. So some teachings of Islam are eternal, but some other teachings are subject to change, because that relates that is based on situation. So when situation changes, the teaching also changes, but for temporary period. For example, during the second caliph, there was a great problem in economy. There was great crisis. So the punishment for theft is very severe in Islam. But second caliph postponed that punishment. But it was only temporary postponement, it's not cancellation. So when the situation changed, the teaching of Islam returned. So naskh is not cancellation. Naskh is temporary postponement, because situation always varies, always changes. So when there is change in situation, it is but natural that teaching which was related to that situation will be postponed for temporary period. But again, after prevailing that situation again, the teaching will be required again. So it is in every system, not only in Islam, that some teachings are subject to the situation, and situation always varies, but not eternally, temporarily. So for a temporary period, there is a change in some teachings, but it is not abrogation, but it is only temporary postponement.
Maulana, according to Quran, when a man enters paradise, he will be given hur, that is beautiful maidens. My question to you is, what will women get when they enter paradise?
The answer you can find in the Quran, in some other verses. In some other verses, the Quran says that azwaju mutahhara. Zawj means spouse. Spouse, spouse is for both men and women. So they will be given nice zawj, nice azwaj. That is, they will be given nice spouses. So it is true that in some verses the word hur is present, but not in all the verses. Some other verses the word is azwaj, that is spouses. So these verses pertain to the both sexes. For men and women both, they will be given nice spouses in the paradise. So there is no contradiction.
Maulana, the Quran says that Allah has put a seal on the hearts of non-believers and they will not believe. But according to science, it is not the heart but the brain that helps a man understand and believe. Doesn't this imply that Quran is actually contradicting science?
No, not at all. It is a literary style. It is not a scientific language. It is literary style. In every language, the same style is the same style is in usage. So here, heart is in symbolic sense. Heart is a symbolic sense. Heart means center of thought. So heart means mind. And you know that modern people believe that mind is the center of heart, but even today they use the word heart. For example, they say, I have accepted it wholeheartedly. No one will say that I have accepted it whole-mindedly. No one will say that I have accepted it whole-mindedly. He will say, I have accepted it wholeheartedly. Although he means with heart, mind. So here in these verses, heart is in symbolic sense. And it means mind and not that flesh we find in our body, that is heart. So it is a literary language rather than scientific language. And this kind of language is used in everywhere in the world, even in modern times.
Maulana, if God is responsible for our destiny, then why we should be held responsible for the evil acts and the sins that we commit?
First of all, you have to know what is the meaning of taqdeer or destiny. Destiny means destiny has a kind of partial meaning, not a total meaning. Because according to Islam, man is free for his choice in every matter. Man enjoys complete freedom, but man is compelled to live in this world, to avail those opportunities provided by God, which I can say infrastructure. So although man is free, but he is compelled to work, he is compelled to avail the divine infrastructure. So in terms of structure, in terms of infrastructure, he is under destiny. But in terms of freedom, he has complete freedom. He has complete freedom of choice. There is no compulsion. So it is a matter of 50-50. In terms of infrastructure, there is destiny. But in terms of freedom, there is no destiny. You have complete freedom of choice. So that kind of question is not applicable here. Man is given the reward or punishment according to his freedom. How he used his freedom. If he misused his freedom, then he will be punished. And if he used in a proper way, if he used his freedom in a proper way, then he will be rewarded paradise. So all the reward or punishment depends upon his use of freedom. So the man lives between two things, between his freedom and between infrastructure. So as far as the infrastructure is concerned, he is under destiny. But as far as the freedom is concerned, he is totally free.
Maulana, let me read this observation made on Quran. The Quran mentions in several places that the heavens and the earth were created in 6 days. But in Surah Fussilat, it says that the heavens and the earth were created in 8 days. Isn't this a contradiction? The same verse also says that the earth was created in 6 days, and then later on the heavens was created in 2 days. This is against the Big Bang theory that the heavens and the earth were created simultaneously. Please comment.
No, Big Bang theory only tells us about the beginning of the universe, not about the phases of universe. How universe was began, it is by the Big Bang, we know only how the universe began. But these verses about 2 days, 6 days, 8 days, these verses tell us about the periods. Here day means period. 2 days means 2 periods. 6 days means 6 periods. 8 days means 8 periods. So if you study the whole Quran and if you try to understand these verses with reference to other verses, you will find that when the Quran used 2 days, the word 2 days, it means in two periods in broad division. And when Quran uses 6 days, then it means 6 periods. And when Quran uses 8, then it means the final period of the universe. So according to the Quran, the whole universe was created in phases, in different periods. For example, in the first, there was only a planet Earth. There was nothing at that time. Then there was water. Then there was plant. Then there was animal. Then there was man. So man appeared in the final phase. So when you see other verses, you will find that Quran refers to phases, to periods, and sometimes Quran wants to give you the period in broad division. Then at that time he says that at that time it says 2 days. It means 2 periods. But when Quran wants to tell you the detail, it says that 6 periods. 6 periods means water and plant, etc. And the last 2 phases, by last 2 phases, Quran means animal period and man period. In the final phases, animals were created, and in the last period, man was created. So this is the division of those periods. So there is no contradiction between these verses.
Maulana, it is mentioned in one of the verse of the Quran that Allah is the Lord of 2 east and 2 west. How can this verse be explained scientifically?
And then there are some other words also, Mashariq and Magharib, and different east and different west, not only 2. So by these verses, Quran refers to uh, that phenomena which we know at present, rotation of Earth on its axis. You know that Quran, Earth revolves around the sun. That is on orbit, but then there is other rotation that is on axis. So this rotation that is on axis, it is this rotation that produces day and night. So every time there's day, every time there's night on the globe. So by these words, Quran refers only to the diversity of day and night. The diversity. Every time, if you see the globe, recently when some people traveled in the space with one Indian lady also. So when they returned, they said that we saw on the earth a quick succession of darkness and light. From the space, when they observed the world, observed this earth, they saw that there was a quick succession of light and darkness. The same phenomena is referred in the Quran in a natural way. In a natural way, that there are there are diverse east and diverse west. It means that there are diverse darkness and diverse light. So it is the same phenomena which was observed by those people who observed the earth from space. So they said that we observed a quick succession, a quick succession of light and darkness. The same is referred in the Quran in these natural words. This is a natural expression. It is not a scientific expression. It is not a scientific language. It is a language of nature. But the phenomena is the same.
Maulana, yet there is another verse which says that in the sight of Allah, one day is one day. One day in the sight of Allah. Okay. Maulana, there is a particular verse in the Quran which says that one day in the sight of Allah is equivalent to 1,000 years. And then there is another verse which says that one day is equivalent to 50,000 years. Isn't these two contradicting each other?
Not at all. In Quran, when Quran refers to numbers, that means diversity. Don't take it in arithmetic sense. It's not arithmetic, but diversity. The numerous days, numerous periods is language of Quran. It was used by Arab also at that time. When they use some specific word like 10 or 70, in their mind the meaning was the diverse and numerous days, numerous periods. So in these words, Quran refers only to the diversity rather than number in arithmetic sense of the word.
Maulana, in one of the verse of Quran, it is mentioned that man is created from a drop of sperm. And in another verse, it says that man is created from dust. Aren't these two contradicting each other? And secondly, how can you scientifically prove that man is created from dust?
Dust means any materials from earth, earthly materials, not dust. And sperm is also a combination of some earthly elements. All those elements that is found in sperm is taken from this earth. So sperm and dust are one and the same. There is no difference. Sperm is also a combination of those materials that is found in earth. And dust is also the same phenomena. So basically, it means that man was created by the elements that is found on earth. And in other words, Quran says that وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. Every life was created by water. So more than 80% of our body is made of water. So sperm and body both are one and the same in this sense.
Maulana, in Quran, there are several verses which says that Iblis was an angel. But in Surah Kaf, it is mentioned that Iblis was a jinn. What is your comment on it?
No, it is wrong. There is no verse in the Quran in which Quran mentions that Iblis was angel. No, not at all. It is misunderstanding. Iblis was jinn, not angel. This question is based on some misconception because there is no verse in the Quran which says that Iblis was uh, Iblis was angel. Although I know that this kind of um, thinking is found among people. There is a line of perhaps some other poet. Among among it is a misconception. Although you find this conception among people, but it is not mentioned in the Quran. So this notion that Iblis was an angel, it is a rumor. It is not Quranic verse. It is not based on any Quranic verse. Wakan Amr al Jinn. Iblis was a member from Jinn community.
Maulana, in several verses of Quran, it is mentioned that Allah is most forgiving and merciful. But it is also mentioned that He gives severe punishment. So the question is God revengeful or forgiving?
No, God is, in Quran also there is adl. God is adil. Adil means just. God loves justice. This is also mentioned in the Quran. So punishment and reward both are phenomena of justice. It is true that God is merciful, but at the same time it is true that God is adil, that He loves justice. So it is a requirement of justice to punish those people who are wrongdoers and to give reward those people who are right persons. So this is misunderstanding. It is true that God is a merciful God, but at the same time, Quran says that God loves justice. So it is a requirement of justice. No judge can afford to set free all those wrongdoers. It is duty of judge to punish all those people who were wrongdoers, who were involved with crimes. Everyone who was proved to be everyone who was engaged in crimes and is proved by witnesses, then it is duty of a judge to punish him. So God is a merciful, but at the same time He loves justice. So He will punish the wrongdoers, and He will provide reward for those people who prove to be righteous person.
Maulana, according to Arun Shori, there is a mathematical error in the Quran. In chapter 4, verse number 11 and 12, if you add up the different parts of inheritance given to the heir, it totals to more than one. Does this mean that the author of the Quran does not know mathematics?
No, I fail to understand this objection. I think there is some misunderstanding. I will see the Quran, and I will see the Arun Shori's book, because I don't know. I fail to understand what is the real meaning of Arun Shori. Perhaps he has written these. Perhaps he has said this in his book, What a Fatwa. What a Fatwa. So I will see it in the book, and I think there is some confusion.
Maulana, what is the difference between truth and wisdom?
Truth means divine truth. So it has a spiritual connotation. Truth has a spiritual connotation, and truth means divine truth. But wisdom is different from truth. You can say that divine wisdom, also you can say secular wisdom. You can use this word in both the meanings. There are some worldly wisdom, there are some secular wisdom, there are some political wisdom, and also there are some divine wisdom. So, wisdom is a general word, while truth is not a general word in this sense. Truth means divine truth, that the truth revealed by God on His prophets. So that kind of wisdom which was revealed to the prophets by God, it is truth. You can say it is divine truth. But wisdom is a general term. You use political wisdom, you use worldly wisdom, but you cannot say that worldly truth. There is no worldly truth, there is no secular truth. So I think that wisdom is a general word. You can use it in different connotation. But truth is specifically used for divine truth. The Quran is a divine truth in this sense.
Maulana, is it not true that Quran is the handiwork of Prophet Muhammad and not God?
No, Quran was revealed by God. There is no doubt about it. And a very simple verification of this fact is that if you know Arabic language and you read Quran and Hadith both, so Hadith is sayings of the Prophet. Quran is the revealed. Quran was received by Prophet by revelation. So you will find great difference in the language of Quran and language of Hadith. How one person can use two different languages? It is impossible. One can speak different languages like Russian, French, German. But here's the question of style. The style of Quran is quite different from that of Hadith style. Hadith seems to be a language of human being, but Quran seems to be language of God. So everyone who knows Arabic language will not doubt when he sees this difference between the two books. Quite different. Very, very different. So how one can speak in double style? It is impossible. You cannot find any man in the history who was able to speak in such a way. There are other proof also, but I am giving here a very simple reason. Everyone can understand this reason.
Maulana, there were many versions of Quran which were burnt by Caliph Usman. Therefore, is it not true that the present version of Quran was the one which was compiled by Caliph Usman and not the one which was originally revealed by God?
It is completely an incorrect statement. No Quran was burned during the Caliph Usman. It is wrong. It is wrong. Only some pieces of the Quran were burned during first Caliph. It was not Quran. Only some pieces. At that time, Quran was compiled in memory. There were thousands and thousands of people who have memorized the whole book. The whole book. They were able to read the book from A to Z. So in mind, the Quran was compiled. But in writing, there was no such compilation. In writing, there were some fragmentary pieces. So when the first version was compiled during the Caliph Abu Bakr, so after this compilation, all those fragments were burnt. But during Usman, there is no such incident. The third Caliph, Usman, only copied that copy which was compiled during the first Caliph. The first copy of the Quran was compiled and prepared during the first Caliph, and this was preserved with the one wife of the Prophet until the third Caliph. The third Caliph prepared some more copies by this first copy, and then he sent these copies to all the cities of that time. No burning happened during third Caliph. It is wrong to say.
Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.